Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to completely shatter that whole careless caveman stereotype and uncover this shockingly advanced and honestly sometimes totally bizarre history of ancient dental care. You know, most of us take our daily brushing routine completely for granted, but the story of how humanity has cared for its teeth is just filled with incredible surprises, wild medical theories, and some serious ingenuity. So get comfortable, because we're traveling back in time to explore the fascinating evolution of ancient dentistry.
Okay, let's kick things off with a quick question. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning without a single modern dental tool. I mean, no toothbrush, no minty toothpaste, no floss hiding in the cabinet, and absolutely no dentist to call when that inevitable toothache hits. How would you clean your teeth? Most people just assume ancient humans ignored their teeth and let them rot until they fell out, right? We kind of picture our ancient ancestors walking around with these terrible, painful smiles. Well, as you're about to see, that assumption is entirely wrong. To find the very first evidence of dental care, we actually have to go back an astonishing 130,000 years. Yeah, 130,000. And what's truly mind-blowing here is that this earliest evidence doesn't even belong to modern humans. Way before the invention of the wheel, long before written language, and thousands of years before the very first farm, our early ancestors were already paying incredibly close attention to their oral hygiene.
Picture this. In a cave in modern-day Croatia, archaeologists uncovered Neanderthal fossil teeth that basically rewrote our understanding of ancient humans. Now, the actual wooden tools didn't survive the test of time, but the evidence left behind on the enamel absolutely did. Scientists found these tiny, repeated scratches between the teeth that perfectly match what happens when you repeatedly push a thin object between them to get out trapped food. Yep, Neanderthals were using primitive toothpicks over 130,000 years ago. It proves they were self-aware and actually cared about that clean mouth feeling. But now let's talk about history's biggest irony. We usually think that as civilization advanced, human health universally improved, right? Well, actually, scratch that. When it came to our smiles, the leap from hunting and gathering to organized farming brought on a massive, painful decline in dental health. It really turned into this epic battle between natural toothbrushes and an endless buffet for bacteria. So the hunter-gatherer diet actually worked in their favor. They were eating meat, nuts, roots, and tough wild plants. Every time they chewed, those firm, fibrous foods acted almost like a natural toothbrush, literally scrubbing their teeth clean. Plus, that diet was incredibly low in sugar. But when agriculture hit the scene around 10,000 years ago, everything flipped. Early farmers started eating bread, grains, and sticky carbohydrates. That sudden shift gave cavity-causing plaque bacteria an absolute endless buffet. Cavities just exploded across early human populations. Civilization basically gave us villages and reliable crops, but at the cost of much, much worse teeth. The crucial point here, though, is that we know early humans fought back against this whole cavity explosion. Scientists didn't just blindly guess that Asian people were trying to clean their teeth. They found hard physical proof, known as intraproximal grooves. These are narrow, incredibly precise scratches located exactly where food gets trapped. They're way too perfect to just be accidental damage. They are direct, literal proof that people were repeatedly inserting tiny wooden sticks, animal bones, or stiff plant fibers between their teeth. They were basically flossing thousands and thousands of years before the first dental clinic was even a thought. What's super interesting when you look at the timeline of all this is the massive jump in technology. We start way back 130,000 years ago with simple Neanderthal toothpicks. Then farming arrives 10,000 years ago, bringing that wave of cavities we just talked about. But look what happens just 1,000 years after that. 9,000 years ago, in what is now modern-day Pakistan, dental care goes from just basic cleaning to incredibly intense, intentional medical treatment. Archaeologists in Pakistan uncovered something truly unbelievable: human molars with perfectly drilled holes. This wasn't natural decay or some kind of accident. This was intentional dental treatment. Using tiny, hyper-precise stone drill bits, prehistoric people were carefully drilling out cavities in human teeth. I just want you to imagine sitting there perfectly still while someone spins a tiny stone drill into your aching tooth, and doing the whole thing without a single drop of modern anesthesia. Talk about tough. These individuals were undoubtedly some of the earliest known dentists in human history. Building right on that spirit of medical innovation, we have ancient Egypt. The famous Egyptian medical text, the Everest Papyrus, reveals that they weren't just drilling out decay. They were actively experimenting with real medicinal chemistry. If an ancient Egyptian had a loose tooth, they wouldn't just rip it out. Instead, they mixed honey, which naturally slows bacterial growth, by the way, with specific minerals to create this ancient adhesive paste to stabilize the tooth. It absolutely proves they were thoughtfully fighting tooth pain with legitimate medicine.
But hey, it wasn't all just about pain relief. Human vanity? Oh, it's as old as civilization itself. Just check out this Bronze Age whitening recipe from ancient Mesopotamia, which dates back 4,000 years. They would grind together salt, a medicinal plant called omni, and pine turpentine. Then people would take this potent mixture and rub it directly onto their teeth. It just goes to show that our ancient ancestors cared deeply about cosmetics and wanted a bright white smile just as much as we do today when we buy those fancy whitening strips.
And before specialized chewing sticks became a huge trend across different cultures, daily cleaning was much more hands-on. Literally, one of the earliest and most practical methods just involved wrapping a coarse cloth around your index finger, soaking it in a sharp mixture of salt, vinegar, and alum, and then vigorously rubbing it across the teeth and gums. Honestly, it was simple, it was cheap, and it was a surprisingly highly practical way to cut through plaque and freshen up the mouth. Now, hearing about all these incredibly specific recipes and habits, you might naturally be wondering, how on earth do scientists actually know all this? I mean, how can we possibly know what someone rubbed on their teeth 4,000 years ago? Well, the answer lies in that exact thing your dentist warns you about today: hardened plaque, otherwise known as tartar. It turns out that poor dental hygiene left modern science an absolute goldmine. See, when sticky plaque isn't brushed away, it hardens into tartar, basically cementing itself to the teeth forever. That tartar acts like a microscopic time capsule, preserving a crazy amount of information for thousands of years. Today, scientists can actually extract ancient DNA from fossilized plaque. Hidden inside, they find ancient bacteria, microscopic food particles, plant remains, and even traces of smoke from ancient campfires that the person inhaled. It literally means every ancient smile tells an incredibly detailed biochemical story of exactly how that person lived. Of course, as scientists decode these stories, they also uncover where ancient medicine took a few, let's call them major wrong turns. And my absolute personal favorite is the ancient, wildly widespread belief in toothworms. For centuries, across so many different civilizations, people genuinely believed that intense toothaches were caused by literal, tiny worms living inside their teeth. They thought these little worms chewed holes right through the enamel, burrowed deep inside, and caused the excruciating pain of a cavity. Now, before we laugh too hard at our ancestors, we really have to look at this from their perspective. Without microscopes to see the real microscopic culprits like plaque bacteria and enamel-eating acids, this bizarre toothworm theory actually sounded completely logical. Just imagine having a sudden, agonizing throbbing in your tooth and seeing a visible dark hole in it. To early civilizations desperately trying to explain a sudden toothache, a burrowing worm was a highly convincing, albeit terrifying, explanation. Hey, sometimes history has to take a few wrong turns to finally get to the truth. All right, let's move to our final comparisons and look at the strangest and, frankly, the absolute grossest ancient dental practices out there. On one hand, you had some cultures who enjoyed a pretty pleasant routine, like soaking their wooden toothpicks in wine before cleaning between their teeth, to add a bit of flavor and some mild alcohol disinfection. But if we contrast that with another incredibly popular alternative, well, you might want to brace yourself for this one. Seriously, brace yourself. Some ancient cultures actually used aged urine as mouthwash. No joke. But it wasn't just pure madness. They actually had a genuine chemical rationale for doing it. Aged urine contains ammonia, which is a powerful cleaning agent. These cultures recognized the cleaning power of ammonia and believed that swishing it around would disinfect their mouths and powerfully whiten their teeth. If there's one thing you take away from this explainer today, it should be a profound thankfulness for the minty smell and pleasant taste of our modern toothpaste. From Neanderthal toothpicks in a Croatian cave to prehistoric stone dental drills in Pakistan, all the way to Egyptian honey medicine and Bronze Age whitening recipes, these incredibly inventive, sometimes painful, and occasionally really gross methods laid the absolute foundation for modern dental care. They prove that humans have literally always cared deeply about their health, which means every single time you stand at your sink and brush your teeth, you are actively participating in a continuous human tradition that stretches back well over 130,000 years. I really hope this explainer has given you a completely newfound appreciation for everything sitting right now in your bathroom cabinet. The next time you brush and floss, just take a second to ask yourself, aren't you so glad you don't have to rely on a prehistoric stone drill and a cup of aged urine mouthwash?
I know for a fact it makes me grateful. But it also leaves you wondering, thousands of years from now, when future civilizations dig up our fossilized tartar, what exactly will they think of our dental habits today? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating history with me, and hey, keep smiling.